Hey everybody, I'm back again to talk about DarkStar Astrodynamics, my biggest mod, also an optional dependency of DarkStar Manufacturing, which I talked about last time. This mod does a lot. It started off as a shipbuilding mod and turned into so much more. The core concept was that this was supposed to be a mod that kind of rewarded players for pushing to the end game. High level pre NG, and then, of course, high level if possible, but also uh, through the New Game Plus multiple times. So, we'll talk about ship parts that unlock at different level ranges, ship parts that unlock at New Game Plus ranges, um, and so much more. Um, to also expose some more info about this, though, it's necessary that we talk about a couple other mods that were combined with this. So, when I created this mod, I created this second mod, Sweet Silence of the Void, specifically to combat one of the side effects of running DarkStar Astrodynamics, and that is there's versions of Astrodynamics that you can install called Super, for example, that really do a lot of ship weapon damage really fast. So you end up obliterating enemies in space if you're a half decent pilot. And because things die so fast, you're blowing through their ship systems so fast. Um, your ship's crew ends up yelling at you over top of each other nonstop. And I had a couple battles where I was testing astrodynamics, and they spammed me so bad it was infuriating. I'm like, all right, if I can't stand this, my users of astrodynamics aren't going to put up with this either. So let me put this out as an optional install to silence the ship intercom in whatever custom way you want. Well, this is still there as a standalone, but the features have since been baked into DarkStar Astrodynamics, and I'll show you how that works. And then the next one is the big prize. This was another standalone that I did specifically to reward players that, like me, have gone through New Game Plus way more than 10 times. You know, I wanted to see the Starborn armor continue to grow in scale. So that's where this came from. And then this also has been brought into Darkstar Astrodynamics as something you can optionally turn on. It's not on by default. It requires you to give yourself a perk. So we'll also get into that. And then the combination of those has turned Darkstar Astrodynamic into more of my shipbuilding and Starborn enhancement mod pack, if you will. Okay, so here we are on Fermi 3, one of my favorite planets to build on just for simple aesthetics. Also, weather. It's a no spacesuit planet if you're running the proper mods to allow you to, do the same thing as your companions and take your spacesuit off when it's not needed. So here I have my starting outpost, go into the overview, and then I will go and place a landing pad. Now, if you look at the right side of the screen, you'll notice that there are 5 landing pads under this DarkStar shipbuilder. There is the standard DarkStar shipbuilder. This one doesn't have anything special attached to it. It just looks like a normal shipbuilder. But this one has the um, I guess the non NG plus inventory. So this one will have all structural parts, all habs, but everything else, pretty much everything else, will be Darkstar only, and it'll be the pre NG version of those things. So if you haven't passed through into New Game Plus, this is probably the shipbuilder you're going to want. Um, Next up is the Terminus version of that. So this version, as you can see, has a lot of things pre-attached to it. I can move this thing around and they just stay stuck to it. So this comes with pre-built vending kiosks, navigation console, outpost storage units, whole 9 yards. This one is like the previous one inventory wise, but also sells ships and has these pre-attached modules. Next up would be the enhanced shipbuilder. So this one has the NG plus inventory, and then the enhanced Terminus, and then the one that I usually build, which is DarkStar Terminus 2. DarkStar Terminus 2 has all pre-NG inventory for ship parts, all NG plus inventory for ship parts, plus literally everything that the base game has. So if you're running other mods that add additional ship parts and stuff like that, they'll show up here. They should also show up in the others, but what's being blocked in the other ones is like the normal cockpits and the normal fuel tanks and normal engines, just to keep your shipbuilder inventory a little cleaner was the goal. So take your pick. I do recommend the Terminus versions. There's some neat little tricks here. First is, aside from the fact that more is attached and the inventory has changed, this is a 2-click build like any other structure in the game. You click it down and you dial it up and down to where you want it vertically. This isn't normal for normal base game. It can also go taller than normal, and it can go right down, partially submerged into the ground. Dealer's choice how you want to build it. I usually try and place it at about that depth if I can, but it also depends on how you're building your outpost around it and what your needs are. So let's say I built this here. So now that's built. Before I go any further and show you what I can do there, I also wanted to show you real quick, there are additional storage modules. If you flip to the variations of these, you get the infinite version. So this is infinite, no carry weight limit storage for solid. This one is for liquid. This one is for gas. Come on, get over there. There we go. And then this one is for warehouse. Now, I typically do this every time. I do exactly that. And just to point out, they don't have to be built there. I can point them over here. And one of the reasons that I wanted to show you this is these can go up really, really high. So I've built a lot of these, right? If I hop over here to the side, you would think, oh, he's going to get a foundation too tall error really quick. I don't, because these can be built up to 64 blocks tall. Oops, didn't mean to exit. So those can go really tall. That is by design. That also gives you a cool effect if you're building them up against your landing pad like I just did. Now, this also gives me a special benefit because I do a lot of the modding stuff, and I'm constantly, tweaking this stuff when I need to make updates to DarkStar Astrodynamics. So I may need to destroy and replace my landing pad. But getting it into the same position can be tricky, right? Well, not if you're using a terminus. Look how it snapped to the storage units. That means that you can, if you're building a terminus, you can start with, say, the enhanced terminus, and then build that and attach storage to it. And then later on, you're like, nah, I'd really like the DarkStar Terminus too. You can destroy one and replace it with the other. As long as your ship's not sitting on it, you can do what I just did, and you're good to go. It just snapped right back in place. I have an identical positioning to what I had before. Okay. So, let's see what this terminus comes with. We have infinite military chest storage here. On the other side of this, we have a normal industrial workbench in case you need it for your outpost building. I figure it also kind of looks cool here and looks appropriate here. And then we have an infinite utility box, just a normal decorative piece underneath of it. When I come over here, that's the normal shipbuilding terminal. This is a DarkStar Starborn Services terminal. This sells gear and equipment and stuff like that to anybody that's been through New Game Plus. And then there is the DarkStar Trade Authority kiosk. Trade Authority kiosk comes with quite a lot of money. I am running a mod that takes it a little bit higher, but by default, this will be super high anyway. I think it's a 250,000, something like that. It's nuts. But yeah, this has a lot of cash, sells a lot of gear. If you're running DarkStar Manufacturing in addition to Astrodynamics, every single weapon in the game will be sold here, along with all spacesuits, all packs, all helmets, and all apparel, even stuff you normally can't get without doing a quest, even stuff that is not normally lootable in the main game without, in some cases, at all, or in other cases without ransacking peaceful, friendly ships like the Vanguard officer uniform. The only way I've ever been able to get this is by attacking Vanguard ships in space, and then of course hoping and praying that it drops or saves coming. So this reduces all of that because you can buy that stuff, but that's Darkstar Manufacturing, and I digress. In general, this vendor is here um, to facilitate just an easy, quick start to a new game plus, or um, what have you. And then on this side we have a Terrabrew vendor, chunks, tranquility, and yes, tranquility stuff will give you XP boosts. So that's why that's here. And I figured if I'm adding tea, I might as well add coffee and cubed food, and then of course the standard mission boards. So you don't have to build mission boards in your base anymore. If you drop a terminus down, it's up to you. You can place more. The rest of these new kiosks that I've added can only have one per outpost, in addition to the terminus if you build the terminus. So technically you could have 2 TA kiosks and 2 starboard service terminals, but so yes, you can destroy and recreate them to reset their inventory, or you can just wait and their inventory resets like normal. But now let's get into some shipbuilding. So I am going to enhance this. No, well, real quick. To show you, yes, it sells ships. Sometimes they're doubled, sometimes they're not. I don't know what's doing it, but either way, every vendorable ship in the game is available here at all times. You may need to reset the inventory, go rest for a while to get it to respawn if you want a specific ship, but it's all here. Off camera, I bought this. So I am going to build this. Now, quick note, yes, my shipbuilder looks cleaner and doesn't have the grid lines. That is a mod from Inquisitor Overhauls. So feel free to go and grab that. I highly recommend it because it just makes things look so much better. All right. So what's the hubbub with DarkStar stuff? Well, first of all, everything. So let's see. Let's start with the cockpit. So cockpits, of course, there's all the normal ones in the game, but what you'll see is that at the top here there is an XCB and an MCB from DarkStar. MCB is mortal or pre-NG, and XCB would be the New Game Plus versions. So if you've been through New Game Plus at least once, all of the cockpits unlock, and notice all these variants. So while it only has one available, I can flip through the variants and pick which one I want. And they all have tiny slight differences in their stats based on their size and their mass. But at the end of the day, they add cargo and shielded cargo, and it's an aesthetic choice for you. So for this build, I'm going to replace like with like. So I can now get rid of that guy, put him in place, and now I have a DarkStar cockpit. So if we go to fuel tanks, this is where we get into, once again, the X prefix is New Game Plus version, and the M is the pre-NG version. New Game Plus versions are slightly better. And yes, that is an equipment plate that holds 1,000 fuel. As you can see in the description, patented dimensional fuel storage. So it is using alternate dimensions, if you will, to store your fuel. Either way, I just thought this was fun. So that's the fuel tank I will end up installing. And then let's go over to grav drives. Now, grav drives, you just basically you're picking pre-NG or post-NG, and then whether you want a Class C, Class B, or Class A. I'm going to go with Class C. It doesn't really matter. They're all way more powerful than the base game. As you can see, the Class A's for post NG are 45 jump thrust. The B is 55, and the C is 65. So you're never really going to run out of jump thrust with these. But I always just habitually build the C. So there's my grav drive. And then next I want the reactor. So same concept here. The pre-NG Class C is 58 power. The post-NG is 68 power. And of course you can flip it to have a big model, small model. All of the base game models are represented here. So you can just kind of do what you want. I want to, for what I'm doing, I'm going to make sure that I take up that vertical space that I've lost. So I'm going to build this guy. So let's put him in place where the original grav drive and reactor were. And I'll put this in place where the fuel tank was. And then we'll tweak aesthetics in a minute. Between those two, I'm going to put the fuel tank. Oh, come back. Up. Come back over. All right. Good enough. So this is now a 100 mobility, 230 top speed, 6 cruise ship with some pretty amazing weapons, maxed out shield, and 8150 cargo. So yeah, let's go and see how she flies. I'm sorry that took as long as it did. I didn't practice it beforehand. And from the outside, it mostly looks like a Crimson Fleet Ghost 4, but definitely is not going to perform like one.
Star yards when I have you around.
Not buy ships. I need to. Oh my gosh. I need to make it my home ship because otherwise I can't fly it. Duh. All right, here we go. Now, this is on very hard, and yes, I am running the super version, so this is going to be, it's going to be nuts. It does a lot of damage. But, you know, I have enough stress in my daily life. I don't need stress in a video game. I don't always run this version of the mod. It just happened to be what I was running when I started this, and I don't feel like re-recording.
Hostility will not be tolerated.
Dead. Oh, they took that one out.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Get closer.
Time to end this. Ah! Hit! We're hit!
And lock just to show that's the EM weapon.
That's it! For the landlord!
So he's totally boardable right now. I just don't care. He can die.
And it's over. Unknown vessel, please respond. Safe
Another-
journey then.
As you can see, this totally changes space battles. And that was messy. I could have done that even faster. It just makes the game more fun to play in my eyes. But alright, so that's the shipbuilding part. Let's talk real quick about the non-shipbuilding parts of this mod. They're small, but they're important. Go back to our fresh base on Fermi 3.
I will never grow weary of seeing places like this.
Okay, so you're running this mod, you've gone through the Unity, and you're in New Game Plus, but you don't like the armor it gave you. You can come here, go to spacesuits, and the highest level you've unlocked will be available. Now, if you're beyond 10 and you have Starborn armor scaling turned on, then it will show the 10th and then whatever your highest tier is as well. But this does mean that you can come here and say, oh, I don't like Venator, I want to wear Tenebris. And you can just buy Tenebris. And if you're running DarkStar Manufacturing, you can then take this armor and go and customize it pretty extremely. So compare to equipped. So this is the DarkStar Venator. The legendaries were randomly rolled by the game when it was placed into this kiosk inventory. We compare with what I've customized. You can see the stat difference between these. And all this is no console commands. This is just customization. So I switched the legendaries. I added ballistic shielding, explosive, heavy, gravitic, DarkStar boost pack came on it. And then I upgraded the suit to unrivaled in quality, and I gave it plus 10 health lining. So all of that is possible in DarkStar Manufacturing. But I wanted to show off the point that you can come and buy another suit of armor, Starborn armor, that looks different but has the same stats. You know, random legendaries, the same core stats, the same core environmental hazard protection and everything. Just with a different appearance. And then you can rock whatever look you want. The scaling is part of a perk. I believe I put it in player perks. Enable Starborn armor scaling. So yes, it shows here that I have rank 1 of 1. You can also help enable Starborn, and that will show you in the help text, enable Starborn armor scaling, and all you would have to do is type that perk ID. So you say player add perk 02001291, right, for example, and that would give me that perk. So you don't have to spend an experience point or a perk point you've earned in the game on purchasing that. You can if you want, but you can just give it to yourself. And then help disable intercom. So these are the perks to disable the ship intercom. One thing you probably did not even notice was my crew did not audibly yell at me, their ship systems are down, their shield is down, their grav drive is down, they're not going anywhere, and all that stuff that they normally shout at you constantly when you're in combat. None of that happened. That's because I have the perk disable intercom without player. So any of these perks you give yourself disables that specific intercom. And the reason I do it through perks in this mod is because perks carry through New Game Plus. So if I give myself this perk, disable intercom without player, I go through New Game Plus, it's still on. I don't have to worry about trying to remember, oh, I've got to set that setting again. No, Settings get wiped out between New Game Pluses. Perks do not. That's also the reason why the Enable Starborn Armor scaling is a perk, because if it was a setting, it would not carry through, and you would not get the upgraded armor issued to you by the Unity when you pass through New Game Plus. So it had to be a perk. That one I wanted to make sure was visible to the player at all times. That's the only reason it shows up in the Science tab there. It wasn't added to the Science tab with the intent of you paying for it. It even says in the description, use console commands to grant or remove without spending skill points. That is to encourage you to just use a command. Give yourself the perk once and then forget you've done it, and you'll just benefit from that point on. All right, real quick, what these disable intercoms actually are. So, intercom without player is chatter over your intercom, not specifically directed at you. So, that is Andreja announcing that shields are down, or uh, Sarah saying, "Hey, we've lifted off, or we're about to dock, or hey, we docked successfully." All of that chatter. Cora and Sam talking to each other. Barrett and Andreja telling jokes, or him inviting her to dance, or all of that chatter that happens. That is normal conversation you can walk around your ship and hear, and transfers itself to the intercom as soon as you take the pilot seat. That is all silenced. That's what intercom without player is. Intercom with player is they're talking directly to you. It's a quest trigger. It's something you need to respond to. So, for example, taking off from Neon during the main quest with Walter on your ship after escaping from that scenario, and the Starborn ship shows up, and then Walter talks to you after. That conversation still happens audibly as long as you don't disable with player. If you disable intercom with player, you won't hear that. If you have subtitles on, you'll still see the subtitles for any of these, but the audible stuff will go away if you give yourself that perk. Remote combat is like you see the Freestar ships attacking Crimson Fleet ships. Their banter at each other and their announcements to and from their own fleet. That's what remote combat is. Remote without player is a Varun ship tossing threats, or a Varun ship, complaining that their ship system is down. That kind of stuff. That's what remote without player is. And that's a combat you're involved in, but they shouldn't really need to be saying that to you. My shield is down. You know it's down. You saw it go down. You don't need them to confirm it themselves. Like, if I'm in battle in real life, I'm not going to be like, damn, you broke through my shield. It always seems silly to me. So you can turn that off. Remote with player is another ship talking to you that you need to engage with. So a merchant, or threatening to board somebody, or you hail somebody and they respond back to you and you're talking back and forth. That's remote with player. And then ship chatter is, say, you're in orbit above. Why do I always mess up that planet name? Where New Atlantis is, Alpha Centauri, or Jemison. You're in orbit above Jemison, and you hear like a galbank or indecipherable, indecipherable chatter will show up in like the subtitles. That's what this ship chatter is. So it's totally inconsequential. It just adds a little flavor to the game, and it doesn't really like burden you. Like, it's not spamming you. So I usually only disable without player. Occasionally, if I'm doing a ton of ship combat, I'll turn off remote combat and remote without player. But I don't recommend turning off intercom with player or intercom remote with player. I recommend leaving those on. Do not give yourself those perks. I gave them to you for people that want to play in pure blissful silence, but they may cause you to miss audio cues that you might want or need. So use those at your discretion. But for these, just do help disable intercom, find the number of the setting you want to give yourself, and player.add perk. And if you want to take it away, player.remove perk. Simple, easy peasy. And kind of there you have it. We've got kiosks that you can build at your base, 5 different shipbuilders you can build at your base. Um, that storage and that storage you can also build more copies of at your base. You've got um, actual storage units that you can build, infinite or not. The infinite ones do not work with transfer links and stuff. The default ones that come part of the Terminus have like 150,000 storage or 100,000 storage. But let's go to the NPC vendors just to show you where 2 of them are. And I will show the third just in case people actually watch this video. I released a third NPC and did not tell anybody where it was. Just said, hey, there's a third NPC that you can find somewhere in the game world. And yeah, I do get some people that ping me now and then. Where is it? Please tell me. And I'm like, ha 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 ha. Go find it. All right. But for those of you that watch the video, keep watching. You'll get your clue. Okay, so the first NPC vendor, this is a pre-NG inventory only vendor, meaning he doesn't have anything new for people who have gone through the Unity. He is at the clinic, which I have not been to in this playthrough. Sorry, I keep tapping my mic accidentally. You see how fast these things grab jump? You very quickly get addicted to how these ships perform, let me tell you. Or I guess warn you. Whoa, put on the brakes. It just, this mod just makes spaceflight feel unhindered. And like a lot of people that go through the New Game Plus, what they start realizing is while they're fully capable of handling ground combat, space combat becomes unfair.
I understand that. I'm not
Because you have a damage bonus for NPCs against you and a damage debuff for your outgoing damage against their ships, even in space. So this is DarkStar Services Technician.
Anything I can
His
help
name
you
is VOG Darkstar, and he has
with? Sure. How about it?
all of the pre-NG inventory. So if I were to modify this ship again, you see it's all the M series parts. So M series reactors, shields. He has all the HABs, M series grav drives, landing gear, fuel tanks, equipment, engines, all the normal dockers, and M series cockpit, M series cargo, normal landing bays, and M series weapons. So if you're pre-NG and you want a focused inventory, build either, and I correct myself from earlier, build the enhanced Terminus or the enhanced shipbuilder at your outpost, or come to VOG Darkstar here at the clinic. That's your key to keeping a cleaner inventory. And while he doesn't have the non-Darkstar version of the things that he offers, so he doesn't have non-Darkstar weapons. He only has the one non-Darkstar like fuel tank, and that's because the game forces it in there, the 900T HE3. So if you want some of the more standard parts, I specifically placed him next to
Got
this
anything
guy.
you need to offload? Trade authorities always buy.
So you can always still use him. He's right next to him. He does not sell ships. He does. He was not edited by this mod. He's just convenient, right? So he was here. I knew he had basic stuff, and I'm like, all right, I'll put the pre-NG version there at the clinic. A little easy to find. There's no scanning to come here. You don't have to worry about being scanned for contraband or any of that stuff, which makes it very easy to use that port to go and do some shipbuilding. And be honest, how many people rely on the clinic for shipbuilding these days anyways? There's always somewhere better to go, right? Until now. All right, so take off. And we'll go to the second vendor. Look at that boost speed. Fastest ship in the galaxy. All right. Now we go to Wolf. So for me, when I go through New Game Plus, the first stop I make is usually Wolf. And then I'll take the Frontier, which they force down your throat, and I'll customize him to be my starter ship in every New Game Plus. And the reason is the new vendor that's in here. So I usually do this before I even build an outpost. Because, of course, outpost costs resources and yada, yada, yada. So, once again, we
Anything I can help you with?
have 2 ship technicians. This is the normal one, and this is the
ship for heat leeches
Darkstar one.
Need some work done?
His name is Archon. And these characters are named after some of my player characters. So, he has the
Sure, how about it?
NG version of the inventory. So that's the X series for everything that he sells. And if you're using the free version, then a lot of these are actually free to build. Most of the parts are. Until you get to standard parts like cabs and stuff like that. And it looks like the weapons have a cost. But no, even the weapons are free. Whoa, go back there. Yeah, so those are not Darkstar weapons. But yeah, you can get almost everything built for free on your ship if you run in the free version of DarkStar Astrodynamics. It's just things like cabs and stuff are standard in the game. They were just added to the inventory. I did not edit them to adjust prices. Okay, so there's that vendor. And now, what none of you have been waiting for, I'll show you the super secret. Only people I've told are people watching this video, third vendor. I love small ships. Okay, and some people that find this video that were looking for this vendor and couldn't find it are about to have a very duh kind of moment. Because once you see where the vendor is, it's fairly obvious.
All weapons online!
Let's take care of this.
Grav drives out. We're losing. Grav's in the red. United Colonies vessel to unknown Safe journey then.
Okay. I love that DarkStar boost pack from Manufacturing Mod. Shut up.
This is all a bit more legal now, I suppose, but
hardly more civilized.
Oh yeah, I'm also running required emissary or retired emissaries mod that I made, which turns Constellation into Starborn. You should check that out too. All right, almost there. Come on, come on.
Wait! Don't shoot me! I didn't do anything wrong!
Thinking of running sometime? Talk to Maine. She'll fill you in.
Now she's not voiced because there is no services technician that's pure services technician that is female. And her inventory is a combination of the other two. And there you have it. And if you're curious,
So, what's new with
since
you
I
today?
could not actually impart my character's appearance to her, I made her look like Estelle Vincent.
Who's all looking up?
So that's Estelle's face with new hair, basically. That's it. And Masako's dress.
For the next run.
All right. That is it for the mod tour for DarkStar Astrodynamics. Hopefully, you find something useful in this mod that improves your gameplay and makes the game more fun in general. I will talk to y'all later. Peace.